What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Yeah, I found the perfect recipe for iced coffee, but I didn't want to. I brought my regular coffee. I didn't want to bring it on because every time you chug back the ice, it makes too much noise. So
I am an iced coffee snob, so
ooh,
yeah, got to be good. There's a place called Sip and Dip up here in the north. That's a hell of a lot better than Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee, I could take it or leave it. Mostly leave it. Oh, hey, we're doing a show tonight.
yeah. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel, our Sunday night show. The next 2 hours, give or take, in and around the topic of the paranormal, give or take, with incredibly wonderful guests that you recognize, give or take. And we are thrilled to have you guys all join us tonight. Let me try this time, Ken, because I and
What are you doing?
we'll work on that sometime in the future. Anyway, it's great to have you guys join us there in the chat. A lot of familiar faces, some new faces. Somebody who said that the stream tonight was suggested. I'm guessing through YouTube, which is awesome. Thank you, YouTube. And somebody else who says our intro is too long. Tough shit. It's
Yeah.
everybody else loves it. You don't love it. I don't know what we can do about that for you. But thank you guys again for being our viewers this evening. Great guests joining us tonight, John Zaffis and Cody and Satori, who are all in the green room. A quick announcement for
Ding,
all of
ding.
you: no show next week because it's Labor Day weekend. Although my time will be spent just mostly doing what I normally do, take care of Pop. Ken, I'm sure you'll have some sort of barn burner barbecue going on.
We had that yesterday because we're celebrating it on Monday. What retired guys do on Labor Day is their own business at this point.
So we will not be having a Sunday show. However, we will be having a Monday show with a very special guest. You guys all know and love her, Paranormal Tej, who also is a collector of haunted objects, haunted dolls. And we are going to be setting up, and for our Patreon members, tomorrow night we'll be talking about that as well as tonight's show. But we'll be doing a remote view to Paranormal Tease's House of Dolls in a week from tomorrow. So we will be having a town hall. If you are interested in joining us for that, again, you can always go to patreon.com/Dead Air Paranormal to become a member and get involved with this. Everybody's on screen when we do this remote view. Everybody's on screen when we do our town hall. So please feel free to look us up and join. Membership's only $3. Uh, it's the best deal that you can get out there, to be sure. Um, but
Apparently,
yeah, I'm excited about our guests tonight, Ken. There's a lot of questions I've written down tonight. Most of them will probably be censored before I get to them. But I'm looking forward to seeing where we go with tonight's discussion.
yeah, absolutely. Just want to bring this up. Daniel Lucas says this has got to be the longest intro in history. No, that would be the birth of Christ, Daniel. But thanks, thanks for that.
And Anagata Davida.
And Inagata Davida. All right. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I am definitely excited about this. This promises to be a lot of fun. And for the last couple of days, been getting my own thoughts together. And as usual, we like to kind of ask the questions we think that you're going to ask, but that doesn't preclude you from asking questions at any point of our guests during the show. And at the appropriate time, we'll make sure we get to those and have them answer them for you. So, yeah, throw the questions at us and we will file them away and we'll get to it. But why don't we just get on with our introductions right now, my friend? All right. First of all, we are joined by one of the most respected figures in the paranormal field, John Zaffis. He is often called the godfather of the paranormal and has dedicated well more than 4 decades to investigating haunting, demonology, and supernatural phenomena, and for his work on the television series The Haunted Collector. Deep experience and direct connection to legendary investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, John brings an unmatched perspective on the world of the unexplained. So please welcome back to Dead Air, Mr. John Zaffis.
Hey guys,
Hi, John.
how you doing?
What's going on?
You know how it is.
This sucks. This is 2 weeks in a row with somebody with a library behind them.
Right.
Yeah, huh?
No, we don't know how it is, John. That's why we bring you on to talk to you, so you can tell us how it is.
I'm still working on that, Ken. It changes by the minute, buddy. It changes by the minute.
We'll get it figured out. We'll get it sorted out tonight. We'll solve a lot of the world's problems. I'm sure. All right. And also joining us tonight as a special bonus here, we're joined by one of the most fascinating duos in the paranormal field, known to many as the Paranormal Couple. They are also part of the Dead Air family. They've gained international attention for their unique approach to spirit communication, their investigations on ghost hunters, and their work preserving haunted artifacts. You can see there's a theme to this show tonight, right? In the Paranormal Couples Museum of Haunted Objects, please welcome our friends Cody Desbian and Satori Hawes, a.k.a. Beanie.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey,
Good evening.
Hello.
Why the winter coats? Are you look like
Freezing. It's freezing in the office tonight. I don't know why.
you're my God.
It's nice outside, cold inside.
Oh, these two are moving to Florida. I give them 2 years, Ken. They're moving to Florida.
Nah, I don't think they
I would love to.
they couldn't last a minute away from home.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, you got to look at the bright side tonight. John is not going to be able to hit you with any projectiles launched from across his room tonight.
Oh, goodness.
That's the fun part. That's how we have fun at these things.
It's again, that's the best part. Just humming things, throwing things, and she just stands there. She'll look at me, and I got to turn and look the other way because I start to laugh.
No, what's also crazy, and we're already starting this off. Let's start off strong. We're also at conventions, and people keep coming up to me going, I didn't know you were John Zaffis' niece. And everybody that's coming up to him, he must be telling them that I'm his niece. So they come up to me. I'm like, I'm not. He needs to stop telling people that.
Why? I think it's
Because
cool.
he's a troublemaker.
Hey, I got a lot of nieces and nephews. More nieces though.
It's going to be a fun 2 hours tonight.
It's just going to be us bickering the whole time.
That's fine. Let me know. And I'll just take the night off and let you guys just duke it out.
Okay.
Fine with us. Not like we haven't done that before.
No. Takes me back to New Jersey last year. That was a fiasco.
Fiasco.
Oh my goodness. That was fun though. New Jersey Para-Unity is a good convention. And I think us doing that room together, us and John, I think just makes it even more fun, personally.
I enjoyed it. It was great. Everybody, got to intermingle, see all our different items, and talk to us and go back and forth. And I thought it was pretty cool. And we had a consistent flow of people coming in and out, so I liked it. And we had the longest line, so I like that even better.
It was good. And I even sold a ginormous rose quartz crystal that I said was John Zaffis' brain.
She got good money for it too.
And he signed it and everything. It was great. We had so much fun.
Well, this year too.
This year too. Para-Unity, November. We're excited for it.
Well,
What else is going on with you guys? Cody Satori, what you been up to?
Oh my goodness.
We're keeping busy, especially with the YouTube stuff. That's kind of what's been keeping us busy lately. We just released a investigation video this past Tuesday. It's a 2-part series, so part 2 is coming out this Tuesday.
Yep.
Of the James House in Hampton, New Hampshire, an historical location that they're trying to raise money for, and we like to really try focusing on those places because the only way that these buildings are going to stay around is through this stuff. Unfortunately, this is the stuff that's bringing the money in for these locations, and more we've been noticing of these historical places that really weren't into the paranormal before are kind of opening the door to letting this type of thing in, which we think is great. As long as it's the right people, you know what I mean? All it takes is one,
Yes.
Bad apple to kind of ruin the whole experience. And then that place ends up literally leaving forever. Either the town takes it back into their control and they use it for office space or something like that, or it ends up getting torn to the ground and they sell the land and have new houses built there. So the only way that these places are going to stay around is by us investigating them, believe it or not, and giving donations to these places and creating awareness that these places exist. So that's what we've been keeping busy doing and having fun doing it. We have a blast visiting different places.
And Satori, you're making enough jewelry for the entire country.
Well, my mom is the jewelry artist. I have to give credit where credit is due. But yeah, the business Handmade by Hawes, it's gotten so busy, which we're so thankful for, to the point where we've noticed that some people are like setting timers for our drops that we do. And we're selling a lot of products very fast, so we're trying to keep up with it. But we have custom orders coming in that we're excited about. And our next drop is already coming up September 4th at 7:00 p.m. We had to set a date really soon because we have some fall products coming in that we're super excited for. My mom's making these crystal cauldrons. They look like bubble cauldrons with crystals and pumpkins and all sorts of really fun fall things. So we've been busy getting the jewelry ready.
Good for you.
That sounds awesome.
it's good.
And very creative also. That's amazing. Which, I guess we'll get into some other questions, including I want to address something at the James house a little bit later on.
Okay.
But John, what's new with you? Catch up with us, and then I'll turn it over to Ken.
Doing my usual, doing my investigations. I had a real good day a few days back where I had like 3 or 4 items in one day, so that's unusual. I had a Shirley Temple doll dropped off. Then we were working on a haunted painting that I picked up. That person said the eyes were turning red, and it gets kind of crazy with the items, with some of the things and some of the stories that they associate with, but still keep it busy, lining things up for the fall lectures, and getting ready to go up to Maine in a couple of weeks there, and doing a few more gigs in between there. So keeping busy with all that, and moving forward.
Good man. Good. Man.
Still not going to give up that mac and cheese recipe, are you,
No, no.
Ken?
Thank you very much. I wanted to get right into the idea with some questions for you folks tonight about the idea of collecting and curating these things. I wanted to kind of start off by mentioning what Cody was talking about a little bit, because we all understand what that is like for some of these historic locations, and we appreciate when they embrace the paranormal history of them. Because let's face it, in the here and now, grants and things like that have kind of dried up. So they have to kind of think outside the box a little bit. But as long as they maintain the historic integrity of the place, and more importantly, that the investigators, whether you're there as a visitor or whether you're there running an event, as long as they respect the historic value of a place, it can be a really good relationship. And I just want to say, if you have not seen that episode on the Paranormal Couple YouTube channel, go and watch some of this, because this is I believe, some of the best data, some of the best evidence that they've collected in the time that they've been doing this, with part 2 still to come next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cool.
All righty. So let's start getting into haunted objects here. And right off the get go, I'm going to rely on your experiences and your history with them to answer a question. Have you, and John, we can start with you, beauty before age here.
That's
Have you,
that's scary.
that, I know it's frightening, but it's not, I don't have much to work with here. So, have you ever come across an object that multiple spirits may be attached to?
Yes.
You have. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate on that?
I would put that in a category of a lot of religious items or occult type items. You can have multiple energies associated with items like that, especially occult items, on how they're used and the different people that use them in rituals. So again, you're going to have multiple energy, and you can have multiple things attached with them. So that to me is not an unusual. I don't usually find it with our normal type items like dolls or jewelry. That's usually like individualized type things or pieces of furniture. I mean, that's how I usually find it when these things are manufactured or brought in. Manufacturing really isn't. Yeah, no, it could be, because it's manufactured when people actually send something towards an item. So that's done with intent and purpose, and that will be multiple. Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, what do you think? Have you run across that type of thing? Clearly, you have a method that maybe you can pinpoint
Hmm.
a particular individual, but I think a lot of people may assume it's always one individual. Have you had occasion where it's like, oh, there's more than one person here that seems to have a relationship with this particular item?
Yeah, well, first of all, we definitely agree with what John said, especially around the occult items. We found that when these individuals or groups of people are pouring this energy into an item per se, sometimes different energies, multiple energies can attach themselves. But on the flip side of that, we've found that, like normal everyday items that were loved by, maybe a husband and wife, we found that, sometimes you can get both of those types of energies with an item. Maybe they're both checking in on an object that meant a lot to them when they were still in this realm. So it's definitely possible. I mean, anything's possible in this field, as you guys know. But we have come across multiple items that seem to have different energies, and sometimes we found that with a few particular objects, that you will get contact with one particular spirit, and then sometimes that energy comes across as somebody different.
Hmm.
So it can change. It can change over time.
Yeah. The other thing with this, and speaking about multiples, if we look at physics, we know that two objects can't occupy the same space. That's our understanding of physics. I get it. This is the paranormal, but a lot of people tend to think that this is a possession of some type. When that object becomes animated, maybe it moves or whatever the case may be. Um, are you more of the mind that when we say attachment and possession are two different things?
Mhm.
I like to think of it as accompanied by. There may be a spirit who has accompanied this object for whatever reason. Maybe it's personal value. Um, do you think, John, that this is a form of visitation? First of all, do you agree with the premise that it's accompanied by a spirit somewhere? And is this a form of visitation rather than, oh, I'm always here with this painting, this doll, this chair, this armoire, whatever it is?
I would say all of the above, Ken, to be honest with you. I mean, I think when I look at the big picture of a lot of these different things too, when we're dealing with the haunted items and you have different energy that's going to come through. Like Cody was saying earlier, too, you could have known something is attached to it, but yet you'll get a communication from something else. So we have to take that step back and look at it, okay? Because I believe we have a lot to do with the communication per se.
Mm.
We are the catalyst. We're the ones feeding energy. So therefore, if there's things that are associated, is it something it's picking up from our energy field, something with the item, something with the location? It could be a multiple of different things that can be influencing something. I mean, I've seen it where I've have an item, somebody will check it out and start doing different readings or try to get EVPs and do the Echovac or the ghost box around it and get totally different. And I'll stand there and go, okay, see, that's got nothing to do with the item whatsoever. So therefore, I think our energies influence a lot of these things. I really do.
Yeah. Guys, do you have any thoughts on that first before we move on?
Yeah. I think haunted objects themselves, it's a very complex thing. I don't think that you can exactly categorize them. We've tried our best. Many collectors have tried their best to kind of categorize different kinds of hauntings and objects and things like that. I will say we believe that most of the items in our collection, if they do have a spirit attached to them, they're just checking in. They have some sort of attachment to the item. They're around it most of the time. It really varies depending on the spirit and the situation. We do feel that sometimes we do have items in our collection we feel the energy is sort of just stuck with from the situations they were involved in. It's not necessarily a spirit, but it might be like that energy from a specific situation. We do
Mhm.
have a select few items which are interesting, and we're still researching them. One particular I can think of from our dark room, and it's a necklace. And this necklace is ultimately like a talisman. It has what's believed in that culture, an energy that's been put inside of it and kept almost to do like biddings. So that's just the easy way to describe it. It would take me a while to describe it. And we're very careful about what we do with this item, but we do have a select few people we trust who have investigated with this necklace. And for example, at first I thought it wasn't possible to really put these entities or these energies inside of something and to contain like that. But what's interesting about this necklace is someone tried it on. I will say his name's John, not John Zaffis, but another John. And as soon as he put the necklace on, we captured an EVP that said, "Hello, John." Like it instantly recognized him. So there's some sort of intelligence there, whether the spirit's actually inside of it or just connected somehow permanently to this item. I'm not sure. But that's a really interesting case as well.
Yeah, and I definitely believe that objects, with different ritual and intention can be I guess placed in a necklace like that for sure, especially after some of the experiences that we've had and the objects we've dealt with. But to kind of piggyback on what John was saying, the cool thing about bringing some of these objects out on the road with us to these events is that like John was saying, we're the catalyst to a lot of these things. Everybody's energy is different, and it's cool to see their reactions when they're around these objects,
Yeah.
because sometimes they blend together and they're similar to what other people are experiencing. And then one day you'll come in and it'll be totally different. People are getting the same vibes off the object, but it's completely different from the previous day. So
Yeah.
it all depends on the people's energy that is coming forward and the energy that they're putting into this stuff too. You know what I mean? It works both ways. The object gives off the energy, and the people put the energy in. So it's kind of a double-edged blade in a way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people tend to, associate movement, some type of, a table flies or a doll goes like this. That object may not ever move in perpetuity, but it does not mean necessarily that there's not something adjacent to it. I mean, so this is why the investigation part of it, whether that is environmental readings, EVP, however you approach that thing, don't always expect that this chair is haunted, so I'm going to sit in it and it's going to launch me off of it. It doesn't work that way. Another question I have that I've kicked around a little bit: can residual energy interact, do you think, with these items, or is this strictly intelligence where it's directed at that specifically, or can just a residual energy somehow interact with an inanimate object?
Go ahead, guys.
Yeah. For example, well, this is kind of a funny one. So we have this vase that that the woman claims that in the middle of the night she heard smash to the ground. When she walked out, the vase was moved, but it hadn't smashed yet. So one of two things that we can think of: either the vase. I mean, when you hear the smash, you automatically think of the vase breaking. But was the vase around something else that broke, or has it not happened yet? Maybe it just hasn't happened yet. Maybe, you're having like a time slip situation thing happening. But we do have other items that it seems like only a certain type of time of year something happens with it. Could that be residual? It kind of leans toward that way for sure. But then again, we don't really know. It's interesting. I mean, everything's different. I mean, and especially when you have a museum collection and everything's in one spot, that's when it gets a little difficult trying to determine which object is doing what. So that's why we have the quarantine room for new items. But once everything's pushed into the museum, it gets kind of difficult to understand the energy with each item.
I think, Ken, when dealing with a lot of these things, it's so difficult to have a clear cut answer to things. Now, this is totally wild, guys. I was up in Lilydale doing an event with Dustin and Brian recently, and we were all staying in one of the buildings off to the side. Well, Dustin sends out a text and he goes, "Did anybody lose a ring?" So I'm sitting there laying there on the bed and I'm going, lose a ring. I look down, my wedding band was gone. So I jumped up in bed and I'm like, I don't understand, right? So I text him right back. I'm coming over to your room. Went over to his room. I go, Dustin, how did you? I don't understand. I said, I never take my wedding band off. He goes, Johnny, it was on the sink. We had to share a bathroom with everybody. But anyhow, it was there and it just freaked me out, right? But I was so grateful that he found it and it was there, because if I ever lost that after going on 5 generations, I'd be in trouble. But anyhow, I don't usually ever take it off. Now I'm leading someplace with this whole bizarre story. The following day, people were bringing a few haunted objects in. They wanted to see if I was going to pick anything up on it. We call that psychometry. So I don't consider myself gifted or psychic or anything. I really don't. Anyways, this one woman she had 3 different items. I was like, oh, okay, right? She would hand them to me. She handed me this one ring, and I have it in my hands. And I'm like, I don't know. I said, this is creepy. I said, it belonged to someone that did a lot of weird stuff. I said, it just has a real negative vibe to it. And I said, I'm not really sure it would be something I would, want to keep in the house or anything like that. And I really think, you need to get something done over it. Now, I did not look at the ring. She handed it to me, and I just went like that and did that. She freaked out. She said, keep that freaking ring. And I looked down at it, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, why? She goes, look at the initials on that, and then look what's on top of it. It was a ring from freaking Aleister Crowley. I was like, this is too freaky. Brian jumps up. Dustin jumps up. They both of them come over and look, and they go, did you see that? I said, no, I never saw the ring before. I said, that was the first time. And we knew the woman. It was Peggy from the Knickerbocker. Anyways, and she goes, I can't believe that. She goes, I know you didn't know anything about the ring. But where I'm going with that, the whole thing is how freaky these things pull together like this. My ring went missing without me even. If I ever drove off that and I looked down and realized I didn't have my ring on, I would have freaked out and went right back up there again. Right. Just to go look for it. But anyways, then the following day I get a ring from Aleister Crowley. How freaky is that? How creepy is that? That's creepy.
It's a good reminder to everybody. We say this often, but it's a good reminder, everybody, to have an open mind, because there really is no one-size-fits-all explanation. I know we love to come up with theories because it makes us feel better as people. We don't like mysteries. We like to be able to explain things. It's like, even if we say, well, it's unexplainable, well, that's it. At least we attached a value to it. So it's important to ask the questions that we're asking tonight, but it's not a cookie cutter. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. So you have to have an open mind, and you have to challenge conventional wisdom. Ask why not. Just ask the question, why not? It doesn't mean that there's a definitive answer to every kind of phenomena that is out there. Another question I wanted to ask is that if you want to call it power, I'll call it energy, that these objects seem to have. Does it, or is it possible that it diminishes over time? Or maybe somebody just loses interest in it, in being with it. But have you seen that kind of thing happen where, whatever energy is there, whether you feel it, whether you can measure it, that over a period of time, it just seems to diminish? On the other side of it, have you seen objects that actually kind of grow in energy under your care? So I'll let you guys chew on that.
The Godfather can go first.
The Godfather. With it, I have to believe both can.
Yeah.
Because again, we all seen where we have items. They could sit dormant. Things people could have things in their dormant. All of a sudden, they took it out of grandma's house. Boom. All of a sudden, everything gets generated back up with the energy forces with it, if you will. And also, too, I believe in the fact that an item, that gets a tremendous amount of recognition is going to gain an enormous amount behind it. Again, good examples with that. Robert the Doll, Annabelle, two dolls that get more recognition than anything. And, again, people claim the amount of activity and different things that occur with these items is astronomical. And I can understand that because the exposure that these dolls get.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree. Both we've experienced. So the first thing that we've experienced is that sometimes, let's say, someone purchases something at a secondhand store, yard sale, whatever, and they bring it home and it starts acting up right away. We've removed the item and then nothing happens at all. And there's a couple of reasons for that. We theorize is that maybe the person that loved this item in life didn't like where it ended up. It didn't like the new environment it was in, so it started moving the thing around and trying to freak the people out. And then once it got to a place that it was okay with, then it stopped, acting up. The other thing is this acclimation period that John kind of mentioned, that when you take an object from one location and move it to another, sometimes it takes a while for that energy to get acclimated to its new environment. We have this little clown figurine, porcelain figurine, that came from a house where they said they would see it spinning around all the time. It would, face one way and then it would spin around. And we put it in the quarantine room. Nothing happened for a couple of weeks. It got moved into the regular museum. Nothing happened for like a year and a half. And then all of a sudden we come in and find the thing turned around. So sometimes it can take a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of years, and sometimes it doesn't happen at all. On the other side of that, sometimes we get things and it happens right away, and then it kind of dies off. It slowly dies off on its own. So everything's different. You kind of have to think of it, if we are under the assumption that spirit is checking in on a lot of the items we have and not trapped inside of these items, then why would they be around them all the time anyway? They would only be checking in on these things. On the flip side of things, when you have the things that are involved in rituals and religious items, that energy and intention is being poured into this stuff, that's the stuff that always seems to have the energy kind of radiating off of it, per se, that people feel, especially with the darker things, because of the intentions that have been put into it. That's the stuff that's kind of more difficult to get rid of, what I mean, to bind and things like that.
Sure.
Because that energy just kind of keeps seeping out of it.
Well, we've all seen that with locations too. They go both ways. You could have a place quiet as a mouse, and all of a sudden it goes great guns. Now, that might be because they become used to you. You develop a relationship spiritually or with the property. And we've seen it go the other way, where it starts like crazy and then just sort of dissipates over time. Maybe they're tired of us. Maybe they've made their point. Maybe they don't like being asked the same questions over and over by people coming in there constantly. So we see a fluctuation in that too. Last question for this half I want to ask is the composition of items. Do you see where some are more energetic depending on what they're constituted from? Ceramic, wood, cloth. Is there more of an absorption of energy in particular things? I'll just kind of ask you to look at your own collection and to answer that, and whether you've thought of this before, but depending on what the material, what's it comprised of, do you see any common denominators where, yeah, it seems like things that are made of fabric or plastic or wood or ceramic, they always seem to be charged more than others. And you would probably know better than anybody. How about your own experience?
Go ahead, guys.
Well, I mean, I can't really judge by looking at the collection. Like, what do I have more of? And that's the answer, because um, the thing we have the most of is dolls, because that's the thing that's in. You know what I mean? That's because of the movies and the TV, and because they look like people. People think that they're creepy. So if we're going by quantity, it's dolls. But
Uh,
does that mean that porcelain or ceramic is the thing that's holding the energy the most? I don't believe so.
I think the only time that I personally think that objects may hold more based off of what they are made out of is in terms of like residual, like situations that they were involved in. Because I will say a lot of items in our collection that we believe have residual hauntings are made out of stone, metal, or wood.
Earth,
So
Earth, I don't mean to interrupt you, Tori, but that's kind of the point that, like, are they made out of items that come directly from the earth organically?
yeah, I
Well,
mean,
one kind of section that we have, and I know John has a section as well, is the masks. The masks from around the world are all made out of these, mostly
wood.
organic materials, shells and wood. Some have
Yeah.
metal accents, which also come from the earth. And those, I mean, those have so much energy poured into them, and that's what they believe. I mean, most of these. Here's a shot of the old man's collection there, huh? These,
There's the mask.
there we go. So most of these masks, and John will tell you the same. Especially if they're authentic, coming from the different tribes and things like that. Their ceremonies that they do. Most of these masks represent different gods and deities and things like that.
and
Uh,
spirits. There
And
are
spirits.
certain West African cultures that actually focus a lot on possession. They believe that possession isn't necessarily a negative thing. Possession
right.
is used to call upon spirits for specific, things like protection and success and good health and things like that. So I think when they're used in situations like that, their organic materials definitely come in handy with holding on to that energy and that intention.
Yeah.
Mhm.
John, I'm going to bring George back in. Do you want to kind of weigh in on that? Do you see any common denominators, or are we just, you know?
I got to agree with them. The mask, and the statues from the different islands and the different cultures. Those are the majority of them are hand carved. So you stop and think about the energy that the person puts into it. Plus, again, they do create those. Either a deity or something is associated with it. Again, not that long ago, I had like 12 or 13 hand carved masks from different islands that a person had given me that they were collecting, and they freaked out because they couldn't decide which one of them was bad. And I was just like, well, just, separate them. And he goes, the hell with you, John. You're getting all of them. I'm not dealing with it. So again, it was just amazing. They're all still in the box. I like the curating room idea. I like that. I usually call it my staging areas, where I call it, but I like that better. Again, with a lot of that stuff, that right there would be my number one I would look at, and the second would be dolls.
Give
So,
them all and let the Godfather sort them out.
All right.
again, yeah.
George, I'm going to leave you alone with them for a little bit.
Oh, God.
Godspeed.
All right, Ken. Thank you very much. Our very special guest tonight, John Zaffis, Cody, and Satori. Would you guys say that you're haunted collectors?
All of us are.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that one of the biggest things that people probably don't relate it to are these haunted locations are actually haunted objects, are they not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest part of a collection that anybody would want or need. And I guess one question before I want to change gears here is for both of you, with the collection that you have, would you deem the location that all these items are in now to be a haunted location?
I guess in that case, you could be making a haunted location. You are making a haunted location. Will it still be haunted when you take the items out of it? No. It depends on if that place becomes important to the spirits in some way. That's why actually when we're kind of looking for museum locations. I'm kind of going, hey, it's helpful if the location is already haunted. It could very well be. I mean, you're kind of just already adding some more friends to the mix, I guess. But yeah, we've actually talked about this. We're like, if we find a location, we're ultimately going to have to make it haunted by bringing in these items.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be a haunted place for sure.
Well, of course it would be. I gave my niece one of my haunted dolls.
I still have that picture.
I know, right?
I refer back to the movies, and again, where you get most of that reference comes from history, from documentaries. But in a lot of practices, there are symbols that are put up on the walls to either keep in or keep out spirits.
Mhm.
But in neither case, John's museum or your museum, have you guys put anything up like that? Is it because you have carefully sealed each individual item that may be a threat?
You want to go first, John?
Uh, yeah, because there's symbols all over the place, George, and especially in my office. I mean, there's stuff above the doors, underneath the doors, around the windows. There's crosses. There's different binding rituals. You might not have paid attention to it because they're done with chalk. Chalk or charcoal are the two main ingredients that are used a lot of times when we do those different things.
Interesting.
So there's a tremendous amount of sigil and different things that I have placed throughout the buildings. And when the building was built, this barn was put up, I actually put quartz crystals in each corner of the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that, again, goes, on my end with doing bindings or protection things that are put in place. There's quite a few things.
They're just not Hollywood theatrical.
No,
Exactly.
'cause
Yeah, the same thing goes for us. Actually, we do have buried crystals, which is really funny. You mentioned that. But we do have, we have kind of different belief systems and practices, especially for protection. So we definitely have protection crystals as well as crosses and prayer cards and holy water. And there's blessings usually given.
I'll take all of it. Whatever you want to give.
that's right.
You have to build that wall, especially with John is in the same position as us. These objects are stored on our property, that where we live, right?
Yeah.
And you have to build that spiritual wall to separate, your living space from where this stuff is. You have to do that, or otherwise, it's gonna overtake you. So you have to make sure that your belief system's high, and I'm willing to take whatever you believe that'll protect us. Sure.
And honestly, besides the dark room, we have very strict rules for how we keep the dark room where it is. But as for the main collection, we do have ground rules, and we do give a ground rule every time an item comes in that if you are someone and you have loved ones that you check in on, and you're not necessarily like possessing this item, you're just attached to it, you can come and go as much as you want. But we ask that you do not come into our area of the property. And we never had anything negative or any activity really happen in anywhere outside of the museum.
It's fascinating. I did not know that all of this was going into the ownership of these items. And would you all pretty much agree that this is a practice that all collectors should be doing?
Depends on what they're collecting, why they are collecting, because all three of us have friends that, collect like we do. Then we have friends that collect things for dark reasons, and we have friends that collect things for religious reasons. So it's all of the above, all of the above. I would say with different people collecting from different perspectives. That's my feeling on it.
Yeah, if you're just doing this, for fun, I definitely, it's like John said, it depends on the items. I definitely recommend doing something, because if you surround yourself with this 24/7, it will take a toll on you if you're collecting serious haunted objects. But it really depends on the objects that you're collecting and why you're
Well,
collecting.
yeah, the why is the big question. Why are you doing this, and your intentions? That kind of leads you down that path, I guess. Why you're doing this, and then that'll kind of give you the answer on what you should be doing.
And it's a bit fluidic as an owner of these. If you're taking in items that you may not be aware of until you've taken ownership, that there's something negative attached, and you've got to act accordingly.
Well, okay. Well, here's a good way to look at some of this items that come from gin or jijin cases. We're going to handle that totally differently, George, than I'll handle anything else, because there's no way, Jose, that I'm opening up boxes and starting to cut deals with these things. That's not my style. So again, with it, you got to be guarded and careful. And there's certain people that I interact with that will handle doing a binding, if you will, with a gin item or jin.
Well, let's expand on that. There's something I really want to get to, but I could do it after the break. But that's in two parts.
Jolene. Come on, guys. I've been good all night.
I'm going to ask. I'm talking about people out there who are in the paranormal. They decide they want to start collecting haunted items. They go to a garage sale. They pick something up and go, "Oh, I feel like this is haunted." And by chance, hitting the lottery, they find something that is, but they're unaware of the history, and they don't know that there may be something negative attached to it. It's their duty to, if not reach out to the likes of all of you, but at least do the research, figure out what they could do to make sure that that does not become an absolute nightmare in their home.
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing it from a constructive perspective, I'm trying to be good here. A good perspective, a positive perspective. You know, again, like the three of us are doing, and that's to guard and safeguard things. You have other people that could be collecting things for different reasons than what we collect for. They might be trying to harness that energy, George, or they might be have other intent. So
Right.
therefore, it depends on the individuals what their reasoning is that they do these things.
I
I'll
think
give you
most,
an example, and I'm sure that Aleister Crowley ring that he was talking about, or we have a collection of items that came from some very, I'm trying to find a correct word here, a dark situation with some very dark people. You know what I mean? Some stuff like that, and there is a market for this stuff with a certain group of people that collect stuff from these tragic
Correct.
locations, things that belong to people who
Have
were
hurt other
very
people.
powerful or hurt other people. And there's a group of these people that believe that some of these objects, even if it just touched one of these individuals who have performed one of these terrible acts or rituals, that these objects hold magic powers, hold energy, all different things like that. So there's a market for them. And then we've gotten calls, and I'm sure John has gotten plenty of calls of people who get a hold of one of these things because they're interested in that energy. And then, they don't know what to do with it once that door opens up. You know what I mean? And it does happen. So then we get the call to, have it sent to us or something like that. So there is that market for things. And that's the reason why they're collecting them, to use the energy.
And then on the flip side, if people are just going to places and purchasing items because they think they might be haunted, and things like that, I think in a sense, you definitely should do as much research as you can, but you need to remember that if it is haunted, you're bringing most likely a person into your house.
Right.
And you need to treat them with as much respect as possible, and you need to do everything you can to treat them like a person. Give them that kind of respect in return if it is, because I think that could make activity worse for you if you're not treating it with respect and you're just kind of taking advantage of that situation. I think it really depends on why you're doing it.
I want to hold on to Satori's statement when we come back on the other side of the break. Ken, if you want to jump back in here. But I also have some clips that I wanted to get to topically because I find them interesting and a little bit bone chilling at the same time. So we'll address that. But we're going to take our break at this point in time. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue our conversation about haunted items with the collectors, Cody and Satori and John Zaffis. You're watching Dead or Live on our Sunday night channel. We will be back right after this.
We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Now showing on Dead Air Full Spectrum YouTube channel.
New episodes of Extremely Strange coming soon.
Every alternate Thursday on our channel.
Every Thursday. Opposite. Well, that was weird.
In cemeteries across the world, some headstones hold more than just names and dates. They preserve cherished family recipes, etched in stone as a lasting tribute. These recipes are more than instructions for a dish. They are connections to loved ones, memories of shared meals, and a way to keep traditions alive. In this series, we'll be honoring these unique culinary legacies by bringing these recipes to life. With respect and gratitude, we'll cook the dishes exactly as they were meant to be enjoyed.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost.
Hello.
Oh, we're back?
We're back.
We're back just like that.
George is gone from me.
What?
I can't hear George.
Oh, George, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you, George.
How about now?
We can hear
Can
you.
hear you now.
Okay. Quick reminder for those of you who are joining us for the first time, please hit that subscription button. Also, the thumbs up and critically important for the algorithms, and the reminder bell for upcoming content, including Cody and Satori's show every other Thursday. They just did one last Thursday, so 2 Thursdays from now, unless something comes up that they're busy doing, then we will reschedule them for another time. Join us on Patreon, $3 a month, patreon.com/Dead Air Paranormal. I want to jump on this very, very quickly and then get it out of the way so we can go down more of the haunted items topic. Last Tuesday, you presented part one of the James House.
Yes.
Amazing history. Two lovely people who kind of gave you their paranormal experience tour of the place, but you guys stayed blind as investigators to go in and see what you were catching. But you also had mentioned at one point in time that Steve was running a recorder steady,
Yes.
and you wanted to play that particular example. And I wanted to bring something to your attention, and then I wanted to ask a question about it from all of you. But just take a listen. Hopefully, this works.
Let me tell you, the James House is proving to be the location where we've captured the most EVP and the most disembodied voices ever on an investigation that we've shown you guys. So enjoy the rest of the video. Just wanted to explain this next audio clip, and then we'll jump back into the session.
Make sure I'm not going to sit on a mosquito somehow. Make sure I'm not going to sit on a mosquito somehow.
So I'm watching your last video and I hear this and I get chills down my spine. And there's a reason why behind it. I want to present something to you now from probably 10, 12 years ago.
Wow.
I want John, Cody, Satori, and Ken, your take on what you think the meaning is behind that, because we could argue that's what keeps them alive. And then we talk about those spirits that are in abandoned buildings that nobody knows their identity. So, how does that apply? And yet, is it possible that in some of these locations that are now historical locations, that telling the stories of these people is what's keeping their energy alive? What's your take on that phrase?
I think it really depends on the situation. What's interesting about the EVP we captured is that we did not ask for any history of the location, and we still don't have too much information about any of the history at this time because we plan to go back and continue our investigation when we can. But it's making me wonder in our case if it has something to do with the history or that person's involvement with the location. And again, kind of like what you said, it could also be don't forget, because as soon as you forget about them, you know, you kind of keep them alive in a sense by talking about them and talking about these situations and these time periods and things like that. So I think that very much could be part of it too.
Yeah, and you know, there could be multiple reasons as to why they said that. We also got like help us or help me a couple times throughout the night there, and there's multiple ways you can take that as well, like help them or the house. I mean, the house is you know in definitely in disrepair and needs to be renovated and updated a little bit, a lot of it. And that's the way we're kind of taking it. But this is why some of these cases that you work on, some of these investigations need more than one visit, because you get answers like that on recordings and through our method and things like that that require a second visit, for you to kind of dive a little deeper onto what they're actually meaning by saying these things. And sometimes it can take multiple visits. We I mean, Ken knows this. We've gone to houses dozen times before, sometimes 2 dozen times, trying to collect more and more data so we can kind of get the full picture as to what's going on here.
And the method could possibly assist in understanding. It could be something as simple as, "Hey, you're renovating my location. Don't forget us
Right.
and what we love."
Yeah, and we can't give away too much information about the next video coming up on Tuesday, but we did speak to some spirits in that house with our method, and it was really interesting what we found out about them that was not put inside the house, or was not written down or anything. So it's kind of interesting like that. It makes you wonder if they were like, I want to talk to you. I don't want to be forgotten. I want you to know this and this and this about me that you may not know. So that's intriguing as well. I can't wait to go back. We also have a lot more EVPs that we've captured.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the second part, there's a couple more that we just can't understand. Definitely an active house as far as voices go, disembodied and EVP. So really, really cool spot that definitely needs some more attention from the paranormal community, for sure.
John, is the phrase "Don't forget us" multi-layered?
Could be, George. Depending, just like what they were saying, it depends on the circumstances, depends on what's going on. Could it be a loop, as some of us refer to, that just keeps playing it over and over and over? These are all the $1,000,000 questions we'd all like answers to that we don't have, because it'd be great if we could, pinpoint exactly what that meant. I mean, I think one of the most common things that we hear, and I'll ask, just about any location I go to, is, how do you see us? What do we look like to you? And a lot of times the response that comes back is, as light. Light. See you as light.
That's so freaky, because when we used our method, we asked them, and I don't know if this aired or not with Rise Up, but there are many times we've asked Spirit, what do you see us as? And they say light. They say different kinds of light.
Yeah,
and
some are brighter,
some are brighter
dimmer
than others.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they describe it as.
Yeah. Again, that has been one of the most common things I look for over the years, when Spirit comes back and says that, as light. Mm-hmm. So again, and now you're reaffirming, that the situation transpires that way. So is it like, what we see in the movie Ghost, where all those spirits are there back of people? Don't realize how much information is in that movie Ghost that applies to our field and applies to our work, that just lines up. They just don't, again, it's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that Satori was like kind of onto it. It all depends on the circumstances of that individual's passing, because a lot of times maybe the wrong stories are told, or maybe stories kind of get conflated and mixed up, or maybe that's underreported as far as their contribution to a place. But we always, in doing things like EVP sessions, we always use terms like, we want to memorialize you, or we want to give you a voice, or if there's a message you want to pass along, or just something as simple as, you have our full attention here, to let them know that they're not forgotten. So to kind of answer that question before they even get to the point where it's just kind of like, please listen to me, to let them know that we certainly are, interesting It's an interesting thing because there's some commonalities. How many times have you heard this is just the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple places, multiple spirit energies, multiple circumstances, and at least on 3 or 4 occasions that comes through. My passing was just the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fascinating stuff. I'm going to get back into the objectos here for a little bit. You talked about masks before. I find it kind of fascinating, and I'll tell you why. If you have an object that's been deified or worshipped or used in rituals, does it affect that object when it's introduced into a different culture, namely our own? Because if it's in a place, the music's different, the language is different. Um, the terms we use are different. So does that I'm not saying it negatively affects it. I'm just saying, how does that play into an object that suddenly is just sort of like it's hanging on the wall? It's
Yeah.
not being objectified or deified or worshipped anymore. And what is this crazy music? And what are these people talking about?
Yeah.
Does it kind of maybe suffer or a little bit?
Well, I think it does depend on the spirit and the situation. And this is just my opinion, so I don't want to come off saying anything like it's fact. It's just from our experience and my opinion. I think that it could affect intelligent activity. I think if it's residual, I think that's a completely different situation. Intelligent activity wise, yeah. I think that being taken out of one culture where this item has been highly respected, has been used for specific rituals, and ultimately kind of retired and taken and put in another situation where they don't understand the language or the change in culture or things like that, that can be scary and intimidating. Like if you were living and put in that situation,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to be disrespected. So I think in some ways, if not treated right, I think activity could either become smaller, it could become more negative, because they're intimidated. I think situations vary, but I definitely think that's possible. I also, personally, we don't like to buy items, especially from different cultures and situations like that, or buy items that we think might be haunted. We are a donation kind of museum, because I think a lot of items get put in those situations and negative activity does come from that. And we are the people to call that, we do our research on the culture. We try to put these items in familiar, areas with other objects, try to make them feel comfortable, try to find as much research as we can.
Yeah, most of them end up becoming like a teaching tool for the culture that they came from. One story I will tell you is we have this mask that originated from Africa, was brought over to New Orleans. Ken, you've seen it a bunch of times because it's on our traveling. It used to be a lot, now not so much. But we call it the fire mask because of it emits this smell of campfire smoke. And it was brought over to New Orleans in the late 90s. And similar to John, now, guy has a box of masks. This guy brings out a box of masks. I was there to learn about voodoo, and he had a store there. Brings out this box of masks and starts taking one out at a time. There was 6 of them, and one of them's wrapped up in this fabric. And I say, "How come this one's wrapped up in the fabric?"
Mm-hmm.
That's the first question you're going to ask. And he says, "Well, when I hold this mask, all these masks came from my ancestors. I get visions of them doing their dances and things like that. But my customers are also seeing things. They come into the shop, they see shadow people walking around. I'm afraid I'm going to lose business. Here, you take it." So we took it home. And the interesting thing is, we always say goodnight to the items. We say hello, if it's the afternoon, good afternoon, but we always say goodnight when we leave. Good night or goodbye. And it's almost like the energy with this mask heard us say goodnight so many times and knew that we would say it every night, that we recorded in a very raspy, like broken English voice of good night, like coming from
We
the
heard
direction
it.
of this mask.
It was so loud.
And so I think some objects, like Story said, everything's different, but some items I think do adapt to their new environment and are okay with it. Because and like Story said, it all depends on the way they're treated, and it goes back to the thing that John and everybody was talking about earlier. What is your intentions with these things? Why are you collecting this stuff? And that kind of changes the whole aspect of these things, because the curator of the museum can change the entire energy of that collection, depending on what their intentions are.
And not to take up too much time on this, but I will say this mask is particularly interesting because we noticed that this mask can affect the activity even with other objects present. And what I mean by that is we have actually had activity kind of ramp up, and we've put this mask in the room just to see what would happen with these items that are ramping up in activity. And it seems that all of it just calms down. We've never had any negative activity with this item. It's always been very positive and very interesting. But it does seem like this mask, the energy it holds or the spirit that is around it, definitely brings peace. It makes everything calm down and kind of more focused on that mask, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
John, what are you thinking about that?
Yeah, what they said.
All right, moving on.
Again, it's interesting because as they were telling that story, I remember there was a guy down in New Orleans that had some of them up on the wall.
Bro, it was the same guy.
Watch it be the same person.
And there was one of them that he freaked out over. He said it was causing too many problems, and it was actually near one of the altars that he had set up in the store. So I don't. It could be any. There's a lot of them down there like that. But I just was like, that sounds familiar. So it's a good possibility. He didn't offer me the mask. I would have taken it, but he didn't offer.
We beat you.
John would probably know what the term animism is, right? That is the belief that everything is alive. Everything has a soul. Trees, plants,
yes,
beings, animals, everything has a soul. So now when you talk about a mask, I'm going back to the mask. Can't get off the masks now. Carved out of a tree that we think is an inanimate object, but certain cultures say that tree is alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a living, breathing, growing thing. So now, if we go back to things like the Philip experiment, right, where thought forms can actually manifest something in the physical world, you take a piece of wood that's deified and worshipped and worn in rituals. Do those thought forms actually animate that particular object that we would think's inanimate? I mean, for the same reason, if you had a coffee table and for whatever reason you decided to worship your coffee table, the energy that we put forth and directed into that object can affect it and almost kind of make it a living entity. So do you see those kind of things happen in these ritualistic masks, and why people say there's weird stuff going on in my house right now? And I think it's this thing I bought. So how did it get that way is the question. If you've resolved that, yeah, that thing's a little weird, you're having a problem with it. The second question is why? How did it get that way? Is it possible that people projected that energy into it by the way they treated it or what it was used in?
I would say yes. Now, here's something that's fascinating. I have a deathbed from Africa. This bed, it's huge. And they called it a deathbed because when a person would pass away, they would wake them in a hut and lay them out. Then they would cremate them. Well, this very wealthy couple was traveling. They got the biggest kick out of it, and they bought it, brought the deathbed home, and used it as a coffee table. Okay, they started having all kinds of paranormal activity in the house and everything from this deathbed. And again, is that wood object from there holding on to the energy, to the energy from the deceased people. So therefore, I have to say yes with some of those things.
Yeah, we're using a lot of people want to talk about things like stone tape theories and, granite and quartz holding energy. We know it can provide energy, but I've often wondered about if just we're force feeding this thing our particular energy because of the collective focus we have on it. And then all of a sudden, this thing becomes almost like a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
And this is why you're getting all this, shenanigans going on with this thing in somebody's house.
Yeah. One of the first things that comes to mind is we have and this is in the religious section. We have a carved religious figurine that came from a case where a gentleman, his hobby was wood carving, and he was terminally ill, and to keep him busy, he was doing all these religious figurines, and he carved this one and put it at the top of a kneeler to pray, and he would pray to this carving that he did on a daily basis, and I truly believe he was, prayer is just focus and tension. So you're in all that energy is being put into this once a piece of a tree that's now a religious, artifact. And after he passed away, we got an email from his wife that she wanted to donate this figurine because she was feeling that energy off of it and having experiences around it. So just like you said, he created this thing. It was just a piece of wood before. He created this, put all of the prayer and intention into it, and made it come alive. Just like the rosary beads we have, and a lot of the religious things. It's all of that, all intention being poured into it, and that piece of wood, the piece of fabric, whatever materials that this thing is made out of, are now breathing in a sense their own life.
Yeah. John, you've studied a lot of cultures, a lot of religions. You know the power of belief and
Absolutely.
how powerful a thing that can be, to the point. I mean, wars are fought over it. The power of belief is an amazing thing. Miracles, all sorts of things that seem to be impossible. So someone who has that strong a belief, I'm of the mind that it can infect not infect, but affect the environment around them, even inanimate objects. And, I often wonder, is that really the reason why a house holds so much energy within its walls? And this is what we get residually, because there's an awful lot of things that happens in a home. People are joyful, people are sad, people cry, people grieve, they celebrate, the whole gamut of human emotions.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. Again, looking at it, but I would look at it a little bit more where items it would be, the ritual items, the masks, or religious items, or things like that. That is done with an intent and purpose even stronger than, I would say, a house. Now, synagogues, churches, and chapels, I would put into that category. That amount of intent, of energy that gets put into these types of places are going to be extremely haunted, whether it's by a positive or a negative. Most people don't even realize that 9 out of 10 churches, chapels, synagogues, all these places are extremely, extremely haunted. People just don't think of it, and look at it the way we do because we study it. and we know what occurred, and therefore we know what the energies are going to be in those places. So if that makes sense, I would say yes to all of the way that integrates into all of it
Yeah.
with the
Well,
belief systems.
yeah. One of the most active places that people go to are theaters.
Yeah,
Almost for the same reason. Big personalities, emotions, the
yeah.
roar of the crowd, the energy, and all the rest of that. So you leave that behind. Hospitals are certainly another one. Do in your experiences, both of you here, do you think how often do you see the same behaviors in objects that you were given that were reported to you when they were someplace else? Is there a difference in being bound or in a, if you want to call it a museum, that's fine, your collections. Um, do you see a different behavior and how often when someone says, hey, this does A, B, and C, that you see the same thing? Maybe not on the same scale, but something that suggests, this thing's acting up over here too.
Yeah, there's definitely a significant decrease from the claims to what we actually experience.
Yeah.
And like, do we believe every object that we have in the collection whole, is active as the claims that were given to us? No, we don't. I mean, that's just the honest truth. Do we tell their stories still? Absolutely. We tell their stories and because that's what was told to us. That's the only thing we can do. We show the object and tell the story that was told to us and take care of the thing. Now, with that being said, there definitely is some items that have gone above and beyond what the claims have been told to us. It all differentiate. I can't even say that word.
Differentiates.
Differentiate from object to object for many different reasons that we mentioned previously. It could be because it's in a new location and that's why it's not acting up. It could be because it could be because it's not around the energy of the previous home that it was in, because like we said before, living energy kind of fuels these things, so that changes everything. And sometimes it just depends on the location of where the thing is. Sometimes when on our traveling exhibits, we've noticed, like I mentioned, some locations that we bring items, it's really active. Some locations that we bring objects is not really active.
Sure.
That's why the stuff that came from the occult and dark side of things seem to always kind of neutrally keep that energy stable, because it's just a different type. It's a different type of energy than the rest of the stuff that's coming from the everyday home, or the everyday case. It's a totally different type of energy.
Yeah. How about you, Johnny? Do you have you seen some of the same behaviors? Not in everything, but occasionally you get something and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, here we go.
Once in a while, Ken, not often. Again, that I wish we would get more of it, because then that would give us our repeatability.
Yeah.
And that would help us a tremendous amount. But I do find that, you'll have certain things or certain items where you'll have certain things that you go, okay, that's what the person was telling me. They got an EVP off of it or something that correlates with it. But again, the activity can be totally different due to the environment, moving it, different, energies that are around it. So therefore it could change. And it usually does. It usually does.
Yeah. I'm going to actually call on George because we have a host of questions in here. And let's just do this on the air. George, do you want to tackle the questions, or do you want to get them out of the way now, or what do you want to do?
There's only 23 questions, so we'll get right to it. First one is coming from one of our hosts of Well, That Was Weird, Miss Erin Bush.
I
Wanted
love
to
her.
know, what was the first object you received? This is, I guess, for each of you in turn. either that you picked out yourself or that you were asked to take care of for someone else. John?
I had it thrown at me. I was with my I was with my aunt and uncle. They went to go check out this little cabin near Lake Zor, and I went with them. And this woman collected these little statues, and she bought this one, added it to her collection. It was moving all over the place and everything. She was totally freaked out over it. So they had taken it out, and they did their things around the house and everything like that. We were driving back, and my uncle took it and threw it into the back seat of the car. He goes, "You want that, kid?" And I looked at him. I go, "What the hell am I going to do with it?" So, but it made me start to think about things and start looking for books on haunted items and picking things out. So, again, that's how it probably, again, lining some of it up and made me start thinking about it all those years ago. That little statue is what triggered me with starting my own collection.
The rest is history. Cody Satori, similar thing?
So my first thing that got me interested in haunted items actually started our book with it. It's the first couple pages in our book. Was this portrait of Christ that belonged to my grandfather, and every night he would pray to this thing. It belonged to his grandfather. It was from Italy and passed down through the generations. And his father had an experience that when he was on his deathbed, he was pray to this thing every night, and he was very scared to die. And he claimed that the portrait started talking to him. Portrait of Christ said everything is going to be okay. You have nothing to worry about. And he was at peace after that and had a peaceful transition. Passed down through the family. My grandfather would pray to it every night. Very similar situation when my grandfather was on his deathbed. He said that the painting talked to him and said his mom was going to come and get him, and then it was given to me. Thankfully, it hasn't talked to me yet, so that's a good sign. I'm not going anywhere yet. But that's the first inanimate object that turned me on to maybe there is something going on with this stuff, and that's kind of what opened that door for me. I don't know about Satori. I don't have, if she has one. I don't think I've ever heard it. So
I mean, my father, I obviously grew up with a paranormal investigator as a father, and along the way, he did gain some items that have some claims around them. So I've been interested. I will say that what really sparked my involvement wasn't necessarily an object itself. Cody was sort of collecting already when we first met. And I decided I really loved the stories and telling people about the different kinds of objects you can come into contact with, the different experiences that have happened. I've seen things with the first items in the collection that have absolutely blown my mind, and I could never find explanations for in terms of movement and voices and personal experiences. And that kind of sparked my connection to this side of things.
Incredible. Actually, very, very interesting. Yeah, I'm surprised that there wasn't like a horde of different things your dad's picked up along the.
There were
There's a few of them.
There are a few from different places like Gettysburg and different countries,
And
different
some that have been
items.
sent in, too,
Some
yeah.
that have just been sent in that we've had the honor of kind of looking over and stuff like that. So I always grew up seeing them, but he would keep them away from the family. So I would kind of.
I was going to say, was Chris going to be like, that's not coming to my house?
My mom has a very strict rule that you don't bring the work home with you. So our museum is located nowhere near her because she does not want it anywhere near her. But I would sneak looks every now and then at some of the stuff my dad would get.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Keeping on that same topic, we've got Sydney Perez wants to know, what's the creepiest doll that you have?
Ooh. Well, in terms of active, we have Liza. She came to us from a gentleman in Massachusetts who claimed that he was hearing voices and having really intense experiences with her. He felt like he couldn't get rid of her. So we thought maybe the best thing for him was to take this item off his hands. He wouldn't tell us where he got her. He just felt like his entire life was falling apart with Liza. So we had taken Liza off his hands and put her in our museum, and we noticed that she was going to be a bit of a trouble for us when we put her in the doll section of our museum. And we would come into the museum and notice that all the dolls' heads were spun around, or their bodies were spun around, except for hers.
Ew.
Only one untouched. And this happened a couple times until we realized that maybe she was active, and we needed to put her in her own little special spot. So we sat her on a shelf, which sounds really funny. And we have footage of her picking herself up and moving on the shelf in the middle of the night. We have voices. People have had lots of experiences with her.
Yeah, and she doesn't look creepy. If you want something that looks creepy, we have like the first one that comes to mind as far as looks creepy. We have a doll from the Island of the Dolls that interesting.
Ooh.
So a paranormal team from the States, I believe from Texas, had gone out there to investigate, and they brought a doll with them to give to the island, right? And they came home, and they went back again and took the doll back home. And then things started happening. So that doll looks creepy because it's missing its head and it has a bunch of nails, which previously weren't in the doll when they dropped it off. So it's almost looks like a voodoo doll now with all nails sticking out of its body. So that one that's the creepiest looking one we have.
Wow.
The one I have, and it's not so much that I have to say that it's creepy. It's one that bothers me more than anything. It was this little baby doll, and it came from a woman that was in a terrible, terrible automobile accident, and her baby daughter had the doll wrapped with her when she got killed in the car.
Oh, my.
And there's actually still blood on the doll.
Oh, my.
Now, it's a creepy story, but it bothers me. And one of the reasons I ended up with the baby doll was she was trying to bring closure to let go of the situation. So I was like, okay, I even called one of my priest friends up, and I went, I don't even know how to handle this whole situation because we went through it. Anyhow, she ended up sending the doll to me to try and bring closure. I had the doll down in the museum, and 3 or 4 different people went near it, and they started freaking out and everything. I put that back in its box, wrapped it back up in all the tissue paper, and I don't have it on display. Mm-hmm. But it's a sad, but yet it's a creepy story because there were 3 different people that went near the doll, and they started having weird things happening and occurring with them over this little creepy doll. I don't even usually talk about that story. But again, when something creeps me out to that point, but yet it affected somebody, but it was able to help that woman bring closure by letting that doll go.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
So I look at that from a different perspective. I'm not interested in parading it around. I can't. It's back in a box. Well, Cody and Satori will tell you. You look in my other part of the museum up there. Those two would have a field day poking through all that stuff.
Also, speaking on the subject of dolls, you just reminded me of another creepy experience real quick. What's weird is it seems that sometimes haunted objects choose the people that they want to care for them, which is really interesting. We had one case, we were actually working at the Conjuring House at this time, and Cody had gotten a message from Dustin Perry. And it was a message that said, Cody, did you get a doll in recently? I had this really crazy dream that you guys were around this doll. And the next thing you know, I was on a plane and the plane was crashing and the doll was sitting next to me. And it was a really specific dream. And we said, no, we hadn't gotten a doll in. Sorry, that's really random. And then my brother, right after that, sent me a message and said, Tori, Cody, did you guys get a doll? He goes, something haunted. He goes, I saw something about a doll. And she's,
dream, right?
Yeah, in a dream. He goes, there's this woman. She wants to reach you guys. She's in something about being in a trunk. She's trapped in a trunk or something along those lines. And I said, no, we haven't gotten a doll. And right after those 2 situations, we got an email. and it was from a woman in Nebraska, and she said, "Hi, I really need to donate this doll to you. I bought her. Ever since I bought her, I've been having dreams of being in a plane crash. And so I really need to donate her to you. What I did was I put her in my grandfather's trunk until you can take her off my hands for me." And we have the email saved and the details.
And the text messages from Dustin
from
still?
my brother and Dustin, and the doll was in a trunk and it was donated to us. So
Weird.
I think situations like that, objects choose their caretaker as
How
well.
wild is that?
That was a good
Yeah.
Cosmic forces. Unbelievable.
Mhm.
Well, let's stick with this then. I think, John, you're up now. Sandy Andrews, and you may have answered this question already with that story. Have you ever come across an object that really made you nervous?
I think that there's been many of items that have made me nervous, especially ritual items. When I get involved with cases that intermingle. Okay, here's a good one. I don't know why, but Cody Satori will even tell you. I was just talking about that. Every freaking time I go to Gettysburg, I get involved with the case going down or coming back home. This past round, I got involved with 3 cases that I was down there. But 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, I got a telephone call from a friend of mine that was a priest. He goes, "My niece has this crazy box at her house from her husband. Could you please stop by and go pick it up?" I'm like, okay. So I went in, checked in the hotel. Aaron Sagers was there in the lobby. I go, "Dude, come on, you want to take a ride with me?" He goes, "Zaffis, I ain't getting in a car with you. I hear what happens when you get in a car. You don't know what's going to end up in the car with you." But anyways, he went with me, and we went to this woman's house, and I had picked up this box. It's like a Dybbuk box and a homemade Ouija board that he used excrement and blood and everything else to make this board. And the box, he was a high priest in Satanism. Anyways, got all that stuff, and that stuff kind of creeped me out because I had to leave that in the trunk of the car, while we were at the convention. So I had a couple of my other friends that were at the convention. I said, "Come out and check these things out." I opened the trunk out, and they go, "Whoa, I ain't getting involved with that, John." And I go, "That's what I was afraid of." But anyhow, one of my other so got it all squared away. We did bindings and everything, brought it back. So I called up my priest friend, and I go, "Those things were from Satanism." And he goes, "My niece never told me that he was a high priest in Satanism." So called her up, and he went back and forth with her. He goes, "Do you realize the situation you just put John in by not telling me that whole story?" He goes, "I thought it was just a box with junk in it, and you thought it was haunted from him." So anyways, Aaron Sagers to this day still talks about that story. He goes, "Don't get in a car with Zaffis because you don't know where you're going to end up or what he's going to end up picking up. You just don't know." So those things really creeped me out that time. That creeped me out.
Great story. Cody Satori, which one makes you guys the most nervous?
There was a package we had gotten in the mail one day, and we didn't know it was coming. And this is one that sticks with me. A box arrived, and at the same time, a letter arrived that was sent much later. So the fact that they arrived at the same time was already odd. And the box had a letter describing a story where someone was messing with the occult. They created a tulpa. Their life was going wrong. They really wanted success, financial security, things like that. The family had done an intervention knowing what this person was doing with other people involved, rituals and things of that nature. So they felt that the best thing they could do was donate all the items, get them away from that person, and hope that everything would go back to normal. So we had received those items, and then in the letter that was sent much later that arrived at the same time, it was pretty much it was actually kind of a plea. They were just saying that they were terrified. They hope everything's going okay. They're scared because everybody else that was involved in these rituals had supposedly passed away under strange circumstances. and they were the only one left, and they were terrified of what was going to happen.
Wow.
And so they hoped that getting rid of the items and kind of getting away from that is going to help them. So it was kind of a really strange update at the same time. And I remember the chills I got opening and seeing the tulpa and seeing everything like that.
Yeah, it was just strange because we had gotten the package and the letter
arrived at the
same time, which was
with
really
an
weird.
update that everyone had passed away.
It was just really weird. Yeah, and then he was the only one left, and just the way that the other individuals, passed away, was very creepy. Very creepy. That
terrible accidents.
Terrible accidents that wouldn't usually happen. Like what's the movie there? Final Destination accidents that shouldn't happened.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, you guys, there's risk involved with what you do without any question whatsoever. Got one more question in here. Not sure who it's from, but it's when did John decide that Cody and Satori would inherit everything?
Cody!
I didn't have to.
Yes, it was Cody. We were lecturing, and he stands up there and tells everybody, he goes, "That's all my stuff someday."
I don't know where he came up with this joke from.
But it was funny. It was funny. Come on, it was funny.
You're ridiculous. You know that?
Well, you have to remember, I got a box of tools. One of those tools in those boxes you guys are getting.
Just tell us when to come to the museum.
Okay, we got to get it set up, George. I got a short story. Maurice Theriault, the farmer, the possessed farmer. Anyways, they auctioned off all the stuff from the farm. A woman had bought this box of tools 30 some odd years ago. She sends me a message. I bought this toolbox from this place and I haven't broken it open. Oh, by the way, it's from Maurice Theriault. I go, are you kidding me? Right? Like that. And I'm like, okay. I said, she broke it open, started having all kinds of stuff happen in the house and everything. So I went to go pick it up, brought it back home, and there was like 20, 30 different tools in this toolbox. And, as I was loading it into the car, she's telling me the story. She goes, I didn't believe in any of this stuff. I go, just answer one thing for me. What made you break it open 30 years later? She goes, to be honest with you, it was out in the garage. Underneath, there was all stuff around it, and I didn't think anything of it. She says, I pulled it out to start cleaning some of the stuff out of the garage, looked at it, and she goes, what the hell, and broke it open. And she says, all kinds of crazy things started happening, bizarre things were breaking, and I was just like, this is wild. Here we are all these years later, again, ending up with something from the farm, from Maurice Theriault. To me, that was wild. So I told Cody and Satori I was going to give them one of the tools from the box.
That's cool.
Well, as we bring Ken back on, because I know there's some pictures he also wants to present, let me ask a very, very quick question of you guys. I know, Cody Satori, you've had objects that apparently spontaneous combust. There's fires involved with it. How do you protect both of your museums insurance-wise? Is it item to item? Is it just the property? Is that something that's even feasible to do as a collector?
I know. I see Satori looking at him going, yeah, we've actually, all of us have had this conversation.
Yeah.
Our liability insurance, it's unique. You have to carry it. We all have that, to protect us and everything, but to break down things, George, individually, a lot of these things, you couldn't replace them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a difficult thing to answer something like that. Because I remember when I was sitting down with my insurance guy and talking to him about it, he goes, you're freaking nuts. He goes, how are you? He goes, I don't even know how to justify setting something like that even up for you. He goes, but, again, it's a difficult thing to be able to come up with something like that.
Yeah, it's more of it's less about the haunted aspect of the items, and it's more just the value of the items themselves is really it. But you have to be prepared for anything to happen. The museum, you can't exactly control what's going to happen. Like you said, we have items that have had history of fires, and we found like soot in the museum one day. We found like some kind of intimidating things that have happened. You have to be ready.
Yeah,
at any point.
and when stuff like that happens, that's a sign for you that, all right, I need to do some more protection, some more binding or whatever around that particular item. But yeah, as far as insurance goes, with a lot of these things, in somebody else's eyes, it's kind of worthless. It's just a doll, or it's just whatever. But to us, it means a lot more because you have that story of it was donated from a family, somebody loved this in life, so it's totally different. With us, and I'm sure with John, we have some like historical things that are definitely worth of some value.
Yes.
And those things kind of carry the protection for everything else, at least in our case.
But no matter what, if something happens, you can't replace. It's not like
Correct.
you can replace haunted objects. You can't just go out and find. And I'm sorry, but you can't just go out and necessarily find thousands more haunted objects just lying around. It's a huge thing you collect over time.
Yeah.
So you kind of lose it.
We just hope that if we take care of them good enough, that they'll like us and not want to destroy themselves.
That seems.
This is where Satori gets wound up on this, but she ate a lot of frosting today, John. So she had a lot of frosting today. Long story. No, it's like a family heirloom. You put a value on the object, but you can't put a value on the stories.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's correct.
Yep. It's historic items. You take them to one of those antique shows or something. Holy shit, this is from the 1800s. This is like, that's it has a tangible quality. It's the intangible stuff. It's like, this is nothing but a porcelain doll,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm not going to let you guys get out of here without a couple of things that I want to show. We've seen a lot of the items in John's museum. To give you an idea of Cody Satori's traveling salvation show here, just some pictures of like the things that they set up.
Yeah, some of the things. Oh, there's Liza.
There's Liza.
There's Liza.
Mm-hmm.
I love Liza.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are the old tent setups.
Yeah, in front of the Old West Bar.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's a peek inside.
Yeah.
Hey, with your permission or without your permission, I still want to show this video. Speaking of Liza.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I know a lot of people have, but for whatever reason, if we have some new faces out there, because then I want to get into some of the events before you get out of here that you're doing.
Yeah.
Just want to show you a little bit of this. Cody, what time I'm looking at the timestamp, 2:20.
2018.
But
yeah.
it was like 2:30
2:30 in the morning, somewhere around there.
2:30 in the morning. All right. If you haven't seen this, or if you have, you can marvel at it again. But here's Liza. Nope. There we go.
This isn't sped up either. That's how fast she moved.
Just doing some type of ghost yoga.
I know, right?
She must have not liked how she was sat down. But
some people say they see her eyes move and stuff like that. Creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy. She's the doll that Satori was talking about earlier that we walked in and found all the other dolls turned around one time there. And
what's funny about it is we've given this footage to people and we're like, can you confirm that nothing's been done to this footage? Like it's and there are some people that are like, well, maybe it could have been pulled by a string or something. I'm like, okay, but how did she lift up? Like, how did she go up? I get if she moved to the side, but she lifted herself up, fixed her position, and sat down.
Right.
How do you explain that?
Yeah, it's creepier to me because, you see a lot of the videos going around and you don't know if they're real or not. But when you record something yourself on your own camera, that gives me the chills still watching that because it's legit,
No doubt. All right, I have one final question. This is the most important one of the night before we show where you guys are going to be appearing. John, what's the heaviest freaking object you had to move?
That would be the. Oh, wait a minute. No, a big Chefarov. Those things that you put clothes in. Remember the old things they had in the bedrooms?
Yeah, like an armoire, right?
Armoire. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
I have one down in the museum, and it's handmade. There's pieces. It's made out of 5 different things: pieces from a church, pieces from an old house. There's an old over mirror. Anyways, this family liked it. They picked it up. They had it in the house, and they kept seeing a little girl in the mirror, and it freaked them out. So they sent me a picture of it, and I looked at it and I went, all right, it was in New Jersey. So I went to their house. The woman was freaking out. She goes, I don't want that here. I don't want that here. And I'm like, oh, shit, how am I going to get this home now? Right? So anyways, him and his 2 sons and myself strapped it on the top of my car, and I ended up bringing it home. I mean, it's a huge piece of furniture, but it's creepy. It's got eagles and cut out flowers and all kinds of stuff on it from different pieces of buildings from around the world. That's about the biggest, heaviest piece I have.
How the hell far do you have to drive that thing?
It was maybe about an hour away. I had to take the back roads home. So it was upper New Jersey up along the highway, and I knew, the back roads just to drive back. So I was like, okay. So I was able to do that.
And he loaded up the truck and he moved to Stamford, Connecticut. How about you guys? What's the heaviest thing you had to move?
An 1800s coffin is very hard to move. We had a friend of ours. I sent a message to a friend of ours. Her name's Sarah. I was like, Sarah, this lady really wants to get rid of this coffin she found in her grandfather's basement. Can you help us? Like, we had to get help to get this item. And funny enough,
I think that came from Jersey too, didn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
It came from either Jersey or Pennsylvania. And funny enough, it was delivered to us while we were doing tours at the Conjuring House. And again, I mentioned the Conjuring.
I know this coffin.
And all of a sudden, she pulls in, and we're like, all right, we need to move this coffin out. So while everybo's waiting for tours, we had to go outside, no word to anybody, take this coffin and walk it into the building. Right. And can you imagine the looks that people gave us? Like, they thought they were going to die. Yeah. But it was very heavy.
Fun fact. With everything that happened to the barn, the coffin was untouched.
Yes.
That's right. That was the only object that was in the barn at the time of the fire.
Make of that what you will.
Oh, right. I gotta do it. Fire sale! Fire sale!
Everything must go.
And you could probably count on one hand how many people in this century have said the hardest and heaviest thing for us to move was an 18th century coffin. Nobody ever utters those words. So feel yourself privileged. Quick rapid fire we're stealing this from the Paranormal Couples Thursday night show, but give me thumbs up or thumbs down. Your thoughts on the Warren Museum sale?
George, you're not getting a response from any of us. I'll tell you that right now. I plead the 5th right now. Thank you.
Annabelle's lore is real.
Yeah.
All right.
There's too much intertwined from the get-go with that to say that there is not something. It's just crazy with that thing, the stories. It's just crazy.
And if it wasn't, it is now because of all the intention, like John was saying earlier, that people have poured into it over the years. Similar to the Pope experiment,
Good point. Yep. All right. Ken, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I want to cover some of the appearances. These people are going to be all over the universe right now. These are not in any kind of chronological order, but let's get them up there. First of all, hey, one of the ones that I'll be attending, probably the only one this year, New Jersey Para-Unity Expo. I had the great pleasure of working with Steve Mills doing, we'll call it security because we're being fancy. John is not lying. The lines on this room were insane. They both have selected haunted objects in there. One day only this year, right, guys? Saturday.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
there's a VIP party Friday, and I guess there's one Saturday night too.
Yeah.
Yep. It's always a fun time.
Yeah, this was a great event. New Jersey Paranormal puts this on, and what a great crew they have working this. We had a lot of fun.
And the price is ridiculously low. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it all
And-
goes back into the charitable fund there, Woodbridge Charity.
And even though I was introduced to Chris Williams for the first time by Sherry DiBenedetti, who said, "Oh, he's an asshole," I take that as a compliment from Sherry, who could barely see over the. No, I won't go there. Let's do this now. Another one, Jersey Paranormal. This is a holiday event, the 5th and the 6th, and
Yes.
Hoover House.
Yes, really awesome location. This weekend, you can actually spend the whole weekend with us if you want to. There's a Christmas festival in Gettysburg that we take you to if you're interested in going as well between investigation days. So it's a really good time.
Yeah. This will be Satori and I's 3rd year doing this one.
Mhm.
John's 1st year doing it with us, and it's an event that's different than anything else because. It's just kind of like a Christmas vacation type thing all weekend. It's fun.
I actually was able to talk my wife into going.
Good.
So that's going to be a big treat for everybody hanging around her. You'll get to see her just sit there and just shake her head at all.
John, I heard a rumor you're bringing for the spirit of Christmas, your entire Nutcracker collection.
Can you imagine that?
Hey, U-Haul.
Wow, what a U-Haul that would have to be.
Talk about strapping stuff to your roof,
right?
John, you have one over you and Dustin.
Yeah.
In the month of December, Wicked Winter at the Strauss Mansion.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Several different things coming up. Also have a convention coming up in Maine in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
That's up there. Looking forward to that. So there's quite a few things lined up and coming up in October, doing some of the campuses. Still look forward to doing that. So there's a few things still lined up there to knock out for this year.
And this is another example, the ultimate haunted objects exhibit. It was a lot of fun. And I'm telling you, believe me when I'm telling you, we were counting heads in that place because there's only so many people you can have in a room. But the lines were there. And you guys, I know you had a lot of great conversations with people. I love to see the way you interacted with people, all of you. Welcoming, and people ask good questions. And here's one I save for last because this is near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Everybody at the Alley Theater. Now, the Alley Theater, for those who follow, that we did an amazing, not that we're amazing, but the live investigation from the Alley Theater in Middleborough, Massachusetts. And how that night went for us. It's an amazing place, a very active place, and we got very attached to it. Well, the folks are going to be there October 25th. I don't even know, in all honesty, if tickets are even still available.
There's a few. There's a few.
But not many, though. It went wicked fast. I mean, we this is something new that the three of us were trying out this fall and kind of testing the waters with to see how people would respond to it and see if they'd enjoy it when it's done. And we were surprised that the first week we posted it started going like hotcakes.
Because it's such a fun event. We're going to be bringing some items. It's a presentation. You get to sit, have drinks and snacks, and you get to see these objects. And it's going to be a really fun time.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't wait. I'm going to be there early because I'm taking John for a Charisse sandwich when we get there. I'm going to take him for a Charisse sandwich a couple of doors up, okay, or whatever he wants. And then we're going to bring him downstairs and introduce him to the spirit who wanted to abduct Satori.
The spirit
and threw a roll of tape at them.
That was intense.
While we were there. So we'll kind of let John handle that.
But yeah, you have to.
John can recreate it.
There you go. There you go.
But
So, folks, if you get a chance to see the exhibits, please don't miss them. I speak from experience. It's a lot of fun, great people, and I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. John, always good to see you. Cody and Satori,
Yes.
pretty much the same.
That was great to be on, guys.
It was fun.
Love you guys. No more frosting for Satori tonight, though.
And for any of you that may be interested in the Alley Theater event, you can always go back on our YouTube page and look
Yeah.
at the live investigations that we conducted twice at the Alley Theater.
Twice.
And
I think the
results.
first or second time we had to terminate it early. Was that the first time, guys, or the second time we were in there? We cut the feed early because it was starting to get.
Might have been the first time.
The first one, no word of a lie, John. It was kind of getting a little where we just had to end it.
Yeah.
Because it was getting a little
unfriendly,
a little dark. Yeah. So check that out.
Good
All
job.
right.
Cool.
Quick reminder again, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back in 2 weeks, taking next weekend off for the Labor Day holiday. Town Hall tomorrow night in preparation for the following week's remote viewing of Paranormal Teasia's Dollhouse. So you guys make sure you're all in attendance tomorrow. Also, very good news for you guys. Carrie Hopper will be joining us again for the remote view in 2 weeks. So you guys are awesome. Anybody who wants to become a Patreon member, that's again patreon.com/Dead Air Paranormal. Thanks you so much for watching. Thank you, Cody, Satori, and John. Stay with us for just a second. Don't hang up yet. But for the rest of you, have a great holiday. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Take care, guys.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised.